All right, the Black Stars' journey at the 2026 FIFA World Cup has completely comes to an end. And of course, we lost to Colombia by a goal to nil, courtesy John Arias. And of course, some brutal decisions need to be taken going forward. We went into a tournament with a defensive-minded coach who always liked to defend, concede possession to the opponents. And of course, it's pretty worked for us in the group stages. And of course, we had a 1-0 win against Panama. We gallantly defended against England, of which we had a goalless draw, and of course, but unfortunately, we lost against Croatia. So going to the knockout stage game in the round of 32 against Colombia, our coach honestly was not brutal with us, and of course, he made some couple of decisions which did not augur well with us. And of course, the question is, why will a coach experiment at his back line in an important game like this? Yes, we all saw Derek Lucas in the game against Croatia. He started, he scored a goal. Unfortunately, we lost. Gave his all. Played alongside Jonas Ajeti. But in a competition where, in as much as Jonas and Jerome have not played too much matches, but at least they built the tenacity, the chemistry between them is quite working. So of course, I expected Jonas Ajeti to partner Jerome Opoku in the back line. It was quite unfortunate Marvin Senaya, who is our best right back for this competition and one of our brightest spots in this competition, got injured, had a hamstring problem in the first half, which left him to the bench, left him to be substituted. And of course, I also had a problem with that substitution. In as much as Ali Dusedu might be a good player, I felt he has not warmed himself in this competition. So rather, Kojo Pompey should have been brought into the game so that we will go for a 3-back, and that will afford Gideon Mensah the chance to join our midfield or join our numbers when we are making an attack. Because it was brightly seen that Thomas Partey was our brightest spot in the midfield. He was the one who is able to help us to progress with the ball from the back line, getting to the midfield. Even in the second half, we saw him after Sibo was substituted. Elisha withdrew to sit in front of the back line, so that Thomas Partey could move forward to afford us those chances. But yesterday, the Colombians they saw our game plan. So they couldn't go with how England played, because at the England game we sat deep with low block. The Colombians decided to pass alongside their backline, so that will force us to come forward, leaving spaces, and that was what the Colombians did. And unfortunately, these Colombians don't have too much of players more than us. This is what honestly makes me quite offended, and it's quite unfortunate on our part. How can we depend on forward liners who have not given us shot on target? For the first time, Ghana is probably one of the worst ever teams in the World Cup. We've went to World Cup competition. We've played 4 games. We have played only 3 shot on targets. This is a record statistics that has been put on FIFA's website. We played 4 games with only 3 shot on target. We went to Jordan Ayew, a 35-year-old who does not press, who cannot give defenders pressure. And every set pieces, he needs to take it. Inaki William, quite not pacey, very quiet within the game, not giving us. And I asked myself, what has Brandon Thomas Asante, has he committed a sin to our technical team? I just wanted to know this. Because in our first game against Panama, we saw that he was one of our brightest spots. He kept the pressure on the back line of the Panaman team. And it was through him that a counter-attack from Caleb Irenchi to Semenyo, he went for that ball, was able to dribble past through the Panama defender and set up Caleb Irenchi for our only goal in that game. And of course, after that game, in the subsequent games, we see him jogging and then making some, but never being given the opportunity. Our midfield wasn't seen. Caleb Irenchi, even though quite good, but yesterday, because he went for a tackle that he was shown a yellow card, he was quite afraid to go in for subsequent tackle because maybe a red card might come on. So that was quite unfortunate on his part. Kosisibo was a pale shadow of himself. Inaki William wasn't. I think it was a game we should have unleashed our attacking threat. We have guys who have the tenacity, the telepathy to give us cutting edge. We have Christopher Babusu, for God's sake. We had Augustine Boachi. We had Ernest Nyama. We had Abdul Fattah Isaku. Why can't we start these young guys and alongside Brandon Thomas Asante to keep up the pressure on the back line of the Colombians? You saw that even after the first half, James Rodriguez was substituted. He's aging. He can't run. He can't give you the depth. In as much as Antoine Semenyo hasn't scored, for me, I think it's probably his best game in this World Cup, because he was pressing, he was making movement. There was one movement at a point in time that he made a move. For him to make a cutback, there was no Ghanaian attacker within our box. Our main striker was even out of the box. So how do we score? How can we make these kind of decisions? Coach Carlos Queiroz has really disappointed us. Honestly, the game he went in with Colombia, and yesterday I saw one journalist from BBC, John Bennett, who tweeted that the problem with Carlos Queiroz is he always likes to defend. So the question is, whenever he concedes, how does he change his approach from defending to going in for how to get to score? And these were the problems that our coach Carlos Queiroz was confronted with. He was lacking ideas. And I asked myself, what sin has Brandon Thomas Asante committed? Because I think this should have probably be his World Cup tournament. He scored 16 goals in the championship for Coventry City to even get promoted to the Premier League for the first time in around 26 years or so. And of course, he has been better than Jordan Ayew in their same league that they were playing. Even Jordan Ayew's club was relegated. But how can we be depending too much on him like that? It's quite unfortunate. And the problem is we shot ourselves at the foot. Unfortunately, we went to a tournament that at least 10 African countries, 9 were able to progress beyond the group stages. But after the group stages, going to the knockout stages, we saw Cote d'Ivoire going home. We saw South Africa being packed going home. We saw Senegal, and we saw also the DR Congo team. So all eyes, at least Morocco, able to progress. All eyes were supposed to be on Ghana. Egypt also managed to progress. Even CKV, how they gave the Argentine team a good run for their money. But we went in so lackadaisical in that attitude, and it's quite unfortunate that we couldn't beat. This Colombian team, yesterday, there were too much of spaces within their side for us to exploit. But our problem is we went with a tactically defensive-minded coach. Even in a knockout game where you need to open up a bit to get to score, he still wants to defend. That was the problem. And we couldn't take that opportunity. For me, I saw some people questioning the approach of the coach to put Atizigi in goalposts and then Benjamin Asare on the bench. I think Atizigi even kept us within the game. He made some couple of brilliant saves. The scoreline could have been more than 1-0. But the coach dished out some tactics, which was quite unfortunate. And it's quite unfortunate that the Black Stars have been crashed out of the 2026 FIFA World Cup. Too unfortunate. Going forward, bold decisions must be taken within the Black Stars. Some people who can help us, who are aging, need to be put at the back free. We need to have young guys to come and take up the challenge. There are young guys like Emmanuel Eji, the likes of Prince Amaku Jr. We have to give them. If there could be an opportunity for us to bring the likes of Alcin Hodoy and of course Edin Ketia, let's go on board. Let's fish them out. Let's bring them to add quality to our setup, because we've been taking some couple of decisions that has not been helping us at all. We need to make sure we take bold decisions to help our national team. In around 3 months or so, the AFCON qualifiers will be starting, and we need to, mind you, we failed to qualify for the last time out in AFCON in Morocco. We can't afford to miss this time around with in a group with Somalia, Ivory Coast, and Gambia. We need to make bold decisions, and it's quite unfortunate that the Black Stars have now been crashed out of the 2026 FIFA World Cup. So our story at the 2026 FIFA World Cup has come to an end. This has been the podcast channel with our. Thank you.